You have entered the courtroom of the Honorable Judge Sigmund. She can be kind of intense. Today, you are going to be given the mission of using the race strategy to answer short answers for mathematics. She's going to go over how she's going to score these, and then I will assist you in answering. Now all rise for the Honorable Judge Sigmund. Order in the court. You may be seated. I am the Honorable Judge Sigmund. I have been called in by my niece, your teacher, Mrs. Sigmund, to judge and assess your short answer questions in the subject area of mathematics. It has been brought to my attention that you have not had much practice yet with this, and in order to keep you in line and out of math jail, we are going to attempt to practice math short answers. I will be the person who is going to judge your fate. I will determine how you score on your math short answer if you are able to restate your answer, if you are able to answer the question, if you are able to cite using proof or work, and if you are able to explain why your work is true. I will be scoring you from a 0 to a 2. So now, let's begin. I told you she could be just a little bit intense. Just a little. She's that aunt, do any of you have that relative at Christmas that you're like, oh dear, she's gonna squeeze my cheeks and then give me some sort of compliment that's not really a compliment. Yeah, that's my Aunt Sigmund, otherwise known as Judge Sigmund. She kind of intense, talking about math jail and all of that. I don't know, maybe there is such a thing. Just to be safe though, we are going to make sure that we are able to use the race strategy to write our short answers. So instead of just letting you go at it, I'm going to try to walk you through one first, and then you'll practice before she comes down with her verdict. Hopefully no one ends up in jail today. So let's do some practice. All right, so I'm sort of acting like your attorney today in the Judge Sigmund's math courthouse. I am going to tell you what you should do and what you can say and how you can answer your question to be successful, but it's up to you to actually do it when it's time. So we're going to use this response right here, and to do some practice, and then you're going to be given your own task, your own case that you need to look at. All right, so it says 2 trees are measured as part of a conservation project. One tree measures 76 and 895 thousandths feet in height. The other tree measures 76 and 9/10 feet. Which tree is taller? Use models to support your answer. So to use the race strategy, I'm going to say the exact same thing. So if you look, it still says restate, answer, cite, explain. Now it's a tiny bit different when you do math. So restate, answer is the same. You're still going to restate the question, and you're still going to answer your question in that sentence. The cite is a little bit different because when you're doing reading and you cite, you're actually going up to the passage and you're highlighting where you found your answer. Well, the cite in this time in math is you need to cite your brain. You need to cite your work. Pull the evidence out of your brain, the work that you do. Do not just say, it's in my brain. You need to actually pull that work out and put it down for Judge Sigmund to see. Otherwise, she might cite you, and you could end up in jail, in math jail. It's not a pleasant place. Then your explain is you need to explain using intentional vocabulary words. Not like accidental, like I'm accidentally going to say I added these numbers or subtracted these numbers. No, I mean like intentional vocabulary words that you chose that will help you prove your answer. And I'm going to know that they're intentional, and Judge Sigmund's going to know that they're intentional because you're going to circle them in your response. All right, so let's go back to that question, and let's figure out what the question is asking us. So 2 trees are measured as part of a conservation project. One tree measures 76 and 895 thousandths feet in height. The other tree measures 76 and 9/10 feet. Which tree is taller? Use models to support your answer. So I see the question mark here. It's which tree is taller? So I'm going to write my sentence, my restate answer sentence, but I'm going to leave a blank in there because I can't answer it yet. I haven't done the work yet. So I'm going to write here blank tree is, the question is asking which one's taller, so I'm going to say is taller. So the blank tree is taller. So I'm going to put whatever number is taller in there. So it specifically says I need to use models to support my answer. Now, a model does not necessarily have to be a drawing. A model can just be your work. A model is just a fancy way of saying work. It doesn't have to be a picture or base 10 blocks or anything like that. So now I need to cite. I need to do my work. So I've got to figure out what it's asking me to do. So which is taller? So it's asking me to compare these two numbers. I know how to compare. I know that I line up my decimals. So let's do that. I have 2 numbers here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 2 decimals here. So I have 76 and 895 thousandths. And then my second number is 76 and 9/10. Now I know that it helps me when I'm comparing if I go ahead and make sure that all my numbers have the same amount of digits, because when I look at this, I want to say that my first number, 76 and 895 thousandths, is larger because it has more digits, and that's what we're used to. But I need to make sure that I'm adding those zeros, finding equivalent decimals, and adding zeros to the end of my 9/10 to make it 900 thousandths so that it's the same place values. Okay, so there's part of my work. Now there's really nothing there except 2 numbers that I wrote down. Now I need to do the comparison. So I'm going to choose a different color here just so it sticks out. So I start comparing with my largest place value. Well, those are both the same. Then my ones place, those are both the same. Then my tens places are not the same. So I know that when I look at 8/10 and 9/10, 9/10 is larger. So that is my larger number. So I'm going to put that in my blank here. So the 76 and 9/10 tree is taller. Now your cite is your work. You just did your work up here. And while we're practicing, I am going to give you a workbox. So you just did your work up here. That's your C. Now you need to explain. How did you solve this? Do not say, see work above. Do not say, I know because my teacher taught me and she's smart, so I'm smart. I mean, I know that's true, but that's not what you should write. You need to use intentional vocabulary words to help explain your thinking. So you would say something like, I know this because, oh, that sounds a lot like when I'm writing a reading. Short answer. So I know this because, now I could say all sorts of things here. I could say that I started comparing with the tens place, they were the same. Then I went to the ones place, they were the same. Then I went to the tenths place, they were not the same. Or I could go straight to say when I compare the numbers. So I know this because when I compare, I'm not going to use numbers. I'm going to use place values. And I'm going to circle that because that's my intentional vocabulary word. I know this because when I compare the place values, the tenths place, I'm going to circle that one too because I intentionally wanted you to know that I was looking at the tenths place. So I know this because when I compare place values, the tenths place is different and 9/10 is larger. I could say greater there. That might even sound even fancier. So let's actually erase that. I'm going to write greater there because it sounds a little bit better. Well, this eraser is kind of skinny. So because 9/10 is greater, I'm going to circle that because I intentionally use that, than 8/10. All right, So did I restate? So my question was, which tree is taller? Did I say the blank tree is taller? I did. Okay, did I answer? Did I actually tell you which one was taller? I did. Here's the 76 and 9/10. So the 76 and 9/10 tree is taller. And then did I cite by showing work from my brain? I did. I wrote that in this space up here. Wrote that in that space there. That's where my work is. That's my cite. I pulled it from my brain. And then did I explain? Did I use intentional vocabulary words to tell you why my answer is correct? So let's read it. I know this because when I compare place values, the tenths place is different and 9/10 is greater than 8/10. I did it all. I restate, answer, cite, explained. So I will not be going to math jail. Now you are going to be practicing. You're going to have it's a similar setup, different skill that you're going to be practicing, and you need to use the RACE strategy, circling your intentional vocabulary words so that I know that you're trying to sound smart. It's not just natural. You're going to circle your intentional vocabulary words and your explanation. So you'll restate, answer, cite by pulling information out of your brain, and then you'll explain your thinking using intentional vocabulary words. Your turn. We'll see what Judge Sigmund decides.